This is USA Takedown. The best guests, all the hot news and predictions on the combat sports of wrestling and MMA with your hosts, the true Americans, Scott Casper and Zach Bogle. Connect with them now on social media and check out usatakedown.com. Now, it's time for USA Takedown.
All right, here we go now. And I tell you what, it is USA Takedown. Casper, Bogle, it's a big program on tap for you. Let's get to it. Big names on the show, including some guys who have just committed. Let's go to Zach Bogle for the lineup of the program for today. Zach?
Yes, big names as always. We have Ashton Barker, Danny Whitten, Joey Krebs, Terry Steiner, Mike Chapman, and to start off the top, who do we have, Scott?
Mark Cody. But before we go to him, I want to congratulate a guy that in workman style has made a tremendous career after graduating from the University of Missouri, the home of the Tigers of Mizzou. Michael Chandler has served notice and signed with the UFC to serve as a backup. He is so much more than a backup. I mean, his hashtag is blessed, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that perhaps there's a future title run for this guy in the UFC. Deserved?
Oh yeah. So they signed him, and he's on the UFC roster just like anybody else. But it's actually they're going to throw him right to the wolves, I guess per se, and he's going to serve as the backup in case Khabib Nurmagomedov falls off or Justin Gaethje falls off. He's going to basically fill in and take their place. So it's almost like a title shot right off the bat. If something happens to either one of those fighters, he's in there. He could be the UFC champ in his first fight.
Opinions, we got them. Yours is important, and even more so that of our guests. All guests appear on the Defense Soap Newsmaker hotline. As I mentioned, the head coach, the director of wrestling operations at Presbyterian College, well, he uprooted himself, his family, the kids, and everything, and moved himself to the Carolinas to start a brand new program for men and women. Became the director of operations there, which is so much more than just being a head coach of a program. He is joining us now, Mark Cody. Good morning, Cody. What's going on, brother?
Good morning, Scott. How are you?
Ooh, I'm all pumped up.
There's a lot going on here right now, actually.
Welcome to USA Takedown, brother. I appreciate you joining us. How cool it is to catch up and reconnect. I'm loving it. Before we get to what's going on at Presbyterian, this may be a bit personal for me, all right? Upon your departure at Oklahoma, it had me scratching my head. I would have thought they would have fought harder to keep you. I know that Presbyterian wanted you, but and bad. But I'm thinking that if I go back and look at all the stats, okay, which I did, academic progress report, your APR, I think you started like around 910 at Oklahoma when you got there, right? So
yeah.
It was kind of in the basement, okay? But then after your third year, you elevated the team and the performance of the team to about 1,000. Am I right on that?
Yeah. I mean, I think we had guys that just maybe needed to get a little more focused on the academic side. So we really, pushed hard and gave them, I thought, was a pretty good formula to do that and really try to get them involved with academic support as much as we could. And it really, it was, as I always explain to people, that there's really no future in any sport. You really got to make sure that you're doing well on the academic side, and sure enough, they bought into that.
So it's a long-term plan. Long-term plan because the educational aspect, you got to wrestle, excel as much as you possibly can, but academically speaking, if you're there to do that job, let's get it done correctly. 5 years total running, my estimation, my numbers, had you at 1,000 plus. When do you start losing scholarship dollars? What's the number on the APR?
It's probably around 900, 905. Maybe you start getting. I'm not sure exactly. I know it's close to that. So
okay. Well, I can't believe. I think it was who was the assistant AD that was in charge. I can't believe he ever allowed that to take place. Was that Justin Leonard? I mean, the guy. I can't believe he would be not just focused on, but allowing it to fall as low as it did. That kind of surprises me. But also, during your tenure, you were the invitational winner out there at the Las Vegas Invite. Nice job there. Two NCAA champs during your time. 2 All-Americans. 10. My notes. 10 All-Americans. you had top 14 finishes in all 5 years there in Norman. So congratulations on an outstanding job within the Big 12 all by itself, Mark Cody. Within the Big 12, that's difficult, but you had a historic finish there in 2011. Tell us about that.
Well, 2011, we had a lot of young guys. The year prior to that, we started 6 true freshmen. So in 2011, you mean 20? You mean at American?
Yeah. Well, no.
American
I'm sorry. Maybe I wrote the date down wrong, but what was that score at the Big 12? I mean, wasn't that?
2016.
2016. That's my bad. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a good year that year. My last year there, we finished 10-4 in duels, and we ended up taking second in the conference. Unfortunately, it's you always want to win it, but we scored more points than we ever have in the history of the program in the conference. So that was pretty exciting for us, and we had 3 conference champions and several national qualifiers, and so that was good, especially after starting 6 true freshmen the year before. And then we were able to, score quite a few points at the national tournament. We finished 13th, which is obviously lower than I wanted to, but still, we're heading in the right direction, that's for sure.
And the 12 was evolving even as you were considering departing. The 12 was adding teams. Most evident, of course, South Dakota.
Well, actually, they were added prior to my departure.
Right. That's why I'm saying it's constantly evolving, right?
Yeah, and I got to tell you that I was really on the soapbox to try to get that done. A lot of people really didn't want me to get involved in that, and I really thought it was important for the conference. As coaches, we really have to be involved in what's best for our sport. And I thought bringing in those teams would be the best thing for our conference because, we did the same thing in the EIWA. When I was an American, we moved over to the EIWA, and I thought that really helped our cause at American.
Strengthen it, yeah. Strengthen it.
And sure enough, they've added several teams to the EIWA since that. So I really pushed hard to get that done. And there were a lot of people that, really did not want that to happen. And now I think they realize that this is really what was best for the sport.
Director of Wrestling Operations at Presbyterian College, joining us on the Defense Soap Newsmaker Hotline.
Yeah, Coach. One of my most fascinating experiences as a fan was watching Cody Brewer's 2015 national title. Did you see a switch in his mind when he, because he was always ranked and whatnot, but then when he went on to win it, it seemed like he was untouchable at that tournament.
Yeah, that was really exciting, and it was right off the bat. His first match, he was just, and he had wrestled somebody in the first round that was a very tough kid from Ohio State, and he just went out and got after it right from start to finish of the match, and that's where he had gotten the ball rolling, throughout that tournament, and I think what a lot of people know or maybe don't know, he was seeded 14th in the tournament,
right.
And that was just based on one bad match he had that year. He went the rest of the year. He won the conference tournament, and they still seeded him 14th. So I remember getting calls from a lot of people around the country saying they just couldn't believe that he was seeded that. But but he went into the tournament. He was just absolutely ready to go. And we thought, we always felt like he was capable of being a national champion, and just because he worked really, really hard. And did everything right. He always put in 12 months. He always wrestled year round. So, but when you see somebody walk into that tournament ready to go, it's just very exciting. As a coach and as a staff to see what he had done.
Some of the guys checking in this morning do want to thank guys that have been with our program all these many years: Steve Foster, Jeff Murphy, Mike Harvey, and the list goes on, but hey, good morning, guys. Mark Cody, our guest, head coach, Presbyterian College, and let's move into that realm. You've got, by the way, later on, I don't know if you know this or not, Mark, but I have Donnie Whitten on the program. He's a commitment to you. I know you can't talk much about that, but 133-pound fire stick out of Texas. I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings on the collegiate scene. That's going to be fun. But one of the things that you're charged with at an institution like Presbyterian is academic prowess. Okay, you've had a tremendous, time building the program that you wanted to. And let's face it, the honor roll is populated with some great student athletes, the 2019-2010 honor roll. But you've had some outstanding performance there. But then you also have athletes on the other side, and not just the males, okay, but the females as well, the women. So I'm super happy for the results that you're getting. How do you feel about the results that your team is, both teams are putting forth?
Well, they're really working hard in the classroom. We and we talk about it every day. There's not a day that this morning we had practice and we end it with, how's everybody doing academically? Do you need any help? We took some individuals over to academic services yesterday, and just to let them know that this is available for you. And we're taking them over there in small groups, because I think it's better to do that than have them meet with academic services all together. But the men and the women's side are really, really pushing it on the academic side, and we're very proud of them. And we just have to. You have to, as a coach, let them know how important that is. But also the women have done a really great job on the mat last year. The first year of the program, we hired Tony Deanda, Tony and Danny Deanda. Tony's got a lot of experience. He's an Iowa boy.
Love Tony.
We're
Love
proud of
Tony.
that.
Yeah.
And he's just done a great job with the women. I will watch him. I've seen him over the years evolve as a coach, and it took me about 3 months to talk him into coming here, but he's just done an incredible job with them. To take fourth in the country their first year, to have 2 national champions and 5 All-Americans. I mean, that's a first-year program,
right?
And it was, it was a very courageous move for them to bring women's wrestling, to bring the first women's Division I program to the collegiate level, and so for them to do that, they're taking a big chance doing it. So sure enough, being able to get Tony here, and just with his knowledge and the success that he's had, on the world level with women's coaching. It's just been a great combination.
How do you feel the team has done, and how do you feel the conference has done? We're talking about the SoCon, by the way. I believe they set a record with some 2,647 student athletes receiving the distinction of what? Academic honor roll.
Yeah.
I think that's terrific.
Yeah, and it is. It's a very academic conference. It's on both sides, coaching-wise. If you look at all the coaches in this conference, we have a really strong bunch of coaches here. And I think recruiting is going very well for our conference. I think what a lot of high schoolers are finding out now is that you have a lot of great options out there as far as places to go to school. And the SoCon is only getting better. It's getting better all the time.
Mark Cody, our guest on the Defense Soap Newsmaker Hotline. We're live from the studios that you know as Wild Rose Casino Studios, and we appreciate their sponsorship. Just had a fight out there, which was terrific. Originally scheduled to be outdoors, moved indoors, and it just made it that much better. Zach Bogle, Scott Casper with you on this morning on Iowa Sports Leader 1350 ESPN.
Yeah, Coach, you coached at Nebraska for a little bit and you coached Rulon Gardner. What was that like? There's a documentary coming out. I think a lot of people are excited to watch. What was it like coaching him?
Yeah, it was good. It was amazing because, when he came to campus, he was a big boy. He was about 300 pounds when he came in. So he was the big thing was getting him where he needed to be. But I was telling Scott last night, at 300 pounds, when we did sprints or any workouts that we did, any extra workouts that we were going 2-a-days, this guy was always up in the front of the pack. You might remember Corey Olson. He was a 3-time All-American. He was a national finalist for us there. And he and I always talk about that, how you could not tire this guy out. It was just amazing. As big a man as he was, how hard he could go. I have never to this day seen anything like it, And but coaching him, it was always a pleasure because and you never had to really push him really hard. He was just very self-motivated, and anytime a kid comes in the room and gives you 100% every single day, like Rulon Gardner did, it makes your life a lot easier as a coach.
I'm surprised.
He did everything right.
Yeah, he did, and let's face it, he set the world on notice when in Sydney, Australia, he defeated the undefeated. And that was Alexander Karelin. And what a throw that was, right, Coach?
Yeah, well, one thing was I always talk about his lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the guy never took a drink in his life. He never used drugs. He never did anything like that, and he just worked really, really hard. And that's a great combination. But beating Correllin, I think a lot of people were a lot more shocked than I was because I had to work out with him a lot of the time when he was there. So I knew how tough it was. But also, he had wrestled Correllin before that, and a lot of people don't realize that he went into an overtime match with Correllin one time. So, you know, he was, you know, he was capable. He always wrestled hard enough to beat anybody, you know, and that's why I pushed it. I remember I first started at Oklahoma State, and John was at the Olympics at the time, so I was running the morning workouts, and I had mentioned that to the guys there at Oklahoma State that, hey, you know, Roland Gardner just won the gold medal, as everybody knows, and if you push yourself as hard as he did in the practice room, and you push yourself that hard in a match, you will always be capable of winning and beating somebody who might be on paper might be better than you. But, yeah.
By the way, if you folks are interested in Presbyterian, get on the website, gobluehose.com. Again, gobluehose.com. And I'm proudly wearing one of those T-shirts, actually more of a dry fit T-shirt today, Coach, because of you, and I appreciate that.
That's great. Well, you know, Scott came out and did our first women's match, and the crowd was great. It was packed, and to have you there was just very special for us. Scott got his tuxedo on and got out and introduced the match, and it was just a really exciting atmosphere, you know, really. And to have that gym packed like that for the first women's duel, that was pretty exciting. But, Scott, you just made it a first-class event.
Oh, it was awesome. And what was the name of the restaurant next to the hotel? Is that Fats?
Fats, yeah. F-A-T-Z, yeah.
Yeah, perfect place for me to eat.
Yeah.
Moyer and I tore up the BBQ, baby. I tell you what, we had a good time. Good time.
You're not going to find much healthy on that menu.
No, there were definitely nothing healthy, but boy, it was so good, and I appreciated the hospitality. Coach, we want to make sure that people know that not only is Presbyterian a great place academically, but athletically, you guys are committed to athletics down there, and the purpose of athletics to create a sound mind, sound body. And guys, gals, it doesn't matter. If you're interested in pursuing a collegiate career with wrestling as an emphasis, we encourage you to go online to gobluehose.com and click through. Talk with the coaches. Find out if it's a good fit for you. So many apply, and we want to see if you are qualifiable, by the way. If you're qualified to be there, they'll let you know, but they'd love to talk to you. I'm sure they would. Mike Chapman's coming up next on the other side of the break. But, Mark, it's always good to talk with you. The SoCon is much richer for having the Blue Hose on the roster, as it were. But you got a great coaching staff. Best to the Deandas. They are wonderful folks and terrific drivers on the way from the airport, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Well, you know, if like you said, you know, they're committed here. They are committed to this wrestling program,
Yes,
and that's great to have an administration as committed as they are. And we're building a new facility, and we're excited about that. We're in the middle of fundraising for it, and you know, we want to make this a wrestling hub for the Southeast.
Your Presbyterian College president, he and his wife, by the way, prayers out to his wife. I believe she had surgery recently, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yep. She just had a minor heart surgery, but she's doing just fine.
Dealing with the heart, I can't think that there's any minor surgery at all. You know what I mean? That's the heart of it all. Mark, we love you, brother. Best to Holly and the boys. It's good chatting with you, catching up with you here for the first time on the new show, the USA Takedown show. We appreciate that.
Well, it's great to have you back on the air, Scott. You know, you do this for the sport of wrestling, and we just appreciate it. We missed you, and we're happy to have you back.
Oh, God bless you. I appreciate those kind words. Thank you so much, Mark, and I'll be talking to you here in the next few days, okay?
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
There we go. Mark Cody on the Defense Soap Newsmaker Hotline. I need you to remember this number because you can call in right now and get a free pizza from Fong's Pizza, downtown Des Moines. You got to be able to go there and get your own pizza, okay? Fong's Pizza, free large pizza. You're going to need to give your name and your phone number, and that way you'll be able to be identified to go in there. So we'll need your name and phone number, but first caller's going to get it. Here's the number to call, 515-244-1350. This is a curveball for our producer, Danny Bishop, but Danny loves to talk to listeners, so 244-1350, a free Fong's large pizza, 244-1350, right? Isn't that the number you want to give out, Danny? Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What number caller?
244-1350. All right. First caller gets the free large pizza. Gwen Page, my dear friend, is the owner there, and she loves wrestling. She loves wrestlers, and she would love to make you a hot, delicious pizza for lunch today. Maybe something for your crew at the office or the barbershop. Maybe Paramount Barbering Company could win it. But 244-1350, first caller gets it. We're going to take you to break. I want to tell you this portion of our program brought to you by our friends at Wild Rose Casino and Resort. Defense Soap, they keep your athletes happy, healthy, and on the mat. Also by Northwestern Mutual. Northwestern Mutual and that cat named Trent Weatherman. Man knows his stuff. Yeah, he really, truly is. And by Ghazali's Mediterranean on 25th. Do we have our winner, Danny? We do. Let's take it to break. What do you say? You're listening to America's Wrestling Radio Talk Show. It's USA Takedown. Fridays, 9 to 11. We're doing it. We got it kicked off right with Mark Cody. We'll bring back you with the next guest. He is Mike Chapman, historian and the great and well-published author that he is. He's next on USA Takedown right here on 1350 ESPN.
The coverage of wrestling and MMA continues after this timeout here on USA Takedown, only on Iowa's sports leader, 1350 ESPN.
The Defense Soap Facts. Dateline, Cleveland, Ohio. For 12 years, he competed. For 17 years, he coached. And for 30 years, he's policed the streets of Cleveland. He saw teams and programs decimated by skin-borne disease, a wrestler's worst nightmare. He didn't like the chemical-based products on the market and knew that there had to be a better way. A better defense. He found religion in the ingredients that make up the basis for Defense Soap. Tea tree and eucalyptus oil. Defense Soap. All natural, safe to use. It's available around the world now at defensesoap.com. Calderberg's PBS Landscaping knows what grows best in Iowa because they're from Iowa. Locally owned and operated, Calderberg's is a full-service landscaping and lawn care company. Everything you need from lawn care and landscape design to water features, tree planting, irrigation, and snow removal. Matt Calderberg and his staff are great. They take care of my family year-round. They can take care of yours, too. My office and home, they cover it all. They're my friends and should be yours as well. Visit them at calderberglandscaping.com. The term barbarian was first used in ancient Greece. The athletes were said to be barbarians. Today's modern athletes embrace the hard work when wearing the great gear from Barbarian Apparel. You make the choice: custom graphics, the best sublimation, colors that pop, and logos that matter. Barbarian provides great service before and after the process. Make the right choice. Choose Barbarian Apparel. BarbarianApparel.com.
Yeah, crank it up. Twist that knob, pull it off. You're listening to 1350 ESPN. It is USA Takedown. Bogle and Casper yesterday, high and tight at Paramount Barbering Company, East 5th in the historic East Village. Zach, you guys are busy over there, but not too busy to take an appointment with a wrestling fan, right?
That's correct. If you just go to www.paramountbarberingco.com, you can book an appointment online today.
You know, we got to get Mike Chapman over there to get a decent haircut.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Tremendous author. He's written more books on the sport of wrestling. From Gotch to Gables, one of my favorites that he wrote. And, you know, that historic from Humboldt to Waterloo. And by the way, that's where the Dan Gable National Wrestling Institute and Museum is, right, in Waterloo. It started in Newton, right off the interstate.
Do you think Waterloo's Wrestling City, USA?
I'd like to think wherever we are, the show is, that's where it is.
That's right, Des Moines, Iowa.
He joins us now, the Defense Soap Newsmaker Hotline, Mike Chapman. Good morning, Mike. How are you? Mike, can you hear us? There you go. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing great, Scott. Sitting here in beautiful Newton, Iowa.
Newton, Iowa, the original home of the Dan Gable Museum. Mike, you and Bev decided to do the museum. Why?
Well, that's a great question, Scott, and I've probably answered it 1,000 times through the years. I always felt that the two states with the greatest wrestling tradition were Oklahoma and Iowa, and Oklahoma has that marvelous National Wrestling Hall of Fame in Stillwater. I actually worked there for 2.5 years as a director of media and communications, And when I came to Newton as publisher of the Newton Daily News, I thought, Iowans and people from neighboring states shouldn't have to drive all the way to Oklahoma just to enjoy the history of the sport.
That's right.
So I started it as the International Wrestling Institute and Museum.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even plan to have a Hall of Fame. We just wanted to have a museum. As you know, I have a lot of artifacts from the career of the great Frank Gotch of Humboldt, Iowa, who I consider the greatest professional wrestler of all time back when the sport was real.
Right.
And then we had an Olympic wing and all kinds of different things. We had a video room with videos of Tom Cruise wrestling in Born on the 4th of July, and the oldest wrestling match known to exist on film, the 1920 world title match between Earl Caddock of Walnut, Iowa, and Joe Stecker of Dodge, Nebraska, and just all kinds of things that they didn't have in Stillwater, Scott. And then we evolved into having an Iowa-only Hall of Fame, and then a Greco-Roman Hall of Fame, and then even a professional Hall of Fame. So we thought we were different from Stillwater, and boy, the reception was terrific.
Now, it's the Glenn Brand Iowa Wrestling Hall of Fame, right?
Correct.
Why Glenn Brand?
Great question. Glenn, as you know, was a three-time All-American at Iowa State. He's from Clarion, Iowa. He was NCAA champion 1 year, missed his senior year because of injuries, and in 1948 he won the gold medal in the Olympic Games in London. He went on to a very successful career as an engineer living in Omaha, and I just thought he was a great example of a wrestler who used his intelligence and his skills and all the perseverance and discipline that the sport teaches to build a terrific career in business. And Glenn had come to a couple of our events and seen the museum and was really impressed, and I just reached out to him and I said, I'd like to have an Iowa Hall of Fame, and I'd like to have your name attached. And he was hesitant at first and said, there's a lot of other great wrestlers from Iowa, and I said, yes, but you're a great example, Glenn, and frankly, a lot of people aren't aware of all your accomplishments. So I talked him into it, and it's now the Glenn Brand Wrestling Hall of Fame of Iowa.
The impact you've had on the sport, and one of the things you do well, by the way, is research, okay? Your research, let's face it, 31 books don't write themselves. Okay, 17 of ththis books at least, and this is my count, 17 of which have been about wrestling. You've written dozens and dozens and dozens of articles, hundreds, in fact, in national and regional magazines, including a magazine that you founded, Win Magazine. And you still write a column in Win Magazine weekly, monthly. Tell us about that.
Well, Scott, I originally started writing a column for Amateur Wrestling News. Ron Good was the editor, and we're good friends. And I wrote for them for about 5 years. And actually, the reason I started Win Magazine is because I didn't feel that Amateur Wrestling News was explaining the terrible consequences of Title IX adequately. And I'm a believer in Title IX, and I think women deserve every opportunity to compete.
Amen.
In every sport. But what had happened, as you know, was a lot of athletic directors were faced with the decision, do I go out and raise money to add women's sports so they can be equal, or do I just cut men's sports? And we lost over 500 college programs over a 20-year span, and swimming and diving almost disappeared. So anyway, one of my best friends is Dale Anderson, two-time state champion from West Waterloo, who went to Michigan State University, won 3 Big Ten titles and 2 NCAA titles, and is a well-known national attorney. And he is one of my best friends. And when I was in Dixon, Illinois, as the executive editor, he would come over and we'd sit and talk, and he'd say, Mike, we need a forum to tell people what really is going on with Title IX. And if you start a magazine, I'll write a column. Well, Scott, I had access to the top-of-the-line modern journalistic equipment right there at the Telegraph. So I started a magazine called Wrestling Institute News Magazine. So Bev was vice president of a bank in Dixon, and I was the editor of the paper. And we just took on a second job. And I was also writing books, so I guess you could say we took on a third job. But It's in its 25th year now, Scott, and it's doing very well under Brian Van Clay, the publisher.
Yeah, and what a stand-up guy he is. Mike Finn, an outstanding writer and editor, I might add.
Mike Finn is one of the best editors I've ever worked with in my 35-year journalism career.
And humble. You have met and interviewed so many people over your career, and they've had an impact on you, I'm sure. Guys like Ali, Bob Redford, Ronald Reagan, Lou Ferrigno, who I've had a chance to tour with myself, recently passed, but not Lou Ferrigno passed. I'm sorry, Lou Ferrigno's still alive. Don't tell myself.
Yeah, you shocked me there, Scott. I thought, what did I miss?
But Lou is a great guy. I also want to challenge you to tell the folks about your love and appreciation for Tarzan. Denny Miller being one of those that you introduced me to, one of the great Tarzans of in history.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting aspect. I guess when I was a young fellow growing up in Waterloo, Iowa, I had two real fictional heroes. Well, one's not fictional. That's Achilles, the great hero of the Trojan War, and Tarzan. And I love Tarzan for all of his physical attributes. And like I've told a lot of my good friends, Mark Johnson, Dan Severn, people like that, Tarzan was a wrestler. He was always subduing animals and villains with wrestling. And there's been 52 Tarzan movies made by 19 different actors. And as you mentioned, I became very good friends with 4 of them. And Denny Miller was one of them. He played Tarzan in 1959. He'd played basketball for Johnny Whitten at UCLA. And then after playing Tarzan, he went on to a long career in TV on Wagon Train, and then made a lot of movies and that. But I brought him to Newton. When we started the Wrestling Institute here, we also wanted to have a golf tournament, a celebrity golf tournament to draw attention to the museum. And golly, we brought in a lot of big names. Movie actors, pro wrestlers, of course, like Luthez and Vern Gagne and Baron Von Raschke.
Jerry Briscoe.
Yeah, Jack Briscoe, on and on and on. And Denny came one year and sat out on the Westwood Golf Course right here in my backyard and signed pictures of himself as Tarzan and chatted with fans. And we paid him a $1,000 fee to come, plus his expenses, Scott. I haven't told this story to many people, but as I was taking him back to the airport, he looked at me, 6'4", and was very dignified, and he said, "I had such a great time, I'm giving the appearance fee back."
Nice.
And what a wonderful gesture. And he was just a great, great fellow.
He was so kind to me in telling the story of, I think, the 3 episodes of Gilligan's Island that he was on.
Yes.
Was it 3?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
So yeah, not all memory banks were fried, but but you think about it, 3 episodes, and that's one of those characters that is most remembered. So he had a great impact on those that watched that show, that series. Also, Denny was he became the Gorton's fisherman, and he told me when we were sitting down just chatting, he said the Gorton's fisherman role paid the way for his kids to go to college. True or not true?
Yeah, he was, if people can remember back about 20 years ago, they would see this fellow in a yellow rain suit out in the middle of the ocean with a long white beard and talking about Gorton's fish. And that was Denny, and he was their spokesman for 15 years. And you're right, Scott, it was very, very lucrative for him. And he did very, very well with that role. And back to Gilligan's Island, he was Tongo, the ape man, who came onto the island on a surfboard after a wild wind blew him to the island. So he was a great, great comedian. He was hilarious. He was so much fun to be around, as you know.
Talk to us a bit about what's going on now, Mike. I know that many of the stories you've written can be translated well into screenplays and further onto the big screen. Where are you at, and how does Curran Jacobs play into it?
Well, thanks for bringing up Curran. Curran was captain of the Michigan State wrestling team in 2012, went to the round of 12, lost in double overtime, or he would have been an All-American. And remember, Michigan State wasn't a very powerful team back then, so he did very well to get that far. Then he got his degree in theater arts, and he moved to California and became good friends with Randy Couture. He got in a few small movies out there. He was in the TV show Modern Family. But I went out to meet with Randy Couture to pitch one of my movies, The Grappler, which was going to star Randy. And he brought Curran to our meeting. And Curran and I hit it off, and I started telling him about catch wrestling, the old Frank Gotch style,
Right.
catches, catch cans, submission wrestling. And Curran fell in love with it. And he started entering catch tournaments. He won a big tournament in California. And I think you were out there for that, weren't you?
I was, absolutely.
Yeah, you were the announcer, and they asked me to hand out the Frank Gotch Award to the winner, and you and I had a great time, and Curran won it. And then we held 2 Frank Gotch tournaments in Humboldt, Iowa, Frank's hometown, and he won both of those. Then they held the United World Championships 2 years ago in New Jersey, and brought in world quality catch submission wrestlers from all over, and Curran won that. And so he and I are working on a documentary right now about the history of catch wrestling. We'll go to Humboldt, Iowa, and stand at Frank's old homestead and at the statue in the park. We'll go to Walnut, Iowa, and see where Earl Caddock grew up. We'll go to Toronto, Iowa, and stand on Farmer Burns' grave site, and he'll explain what catch wrestling was all about. And we're really excited about that, Scott. And in fact, we're going to want you to do some narration, so stay tuned.
Happy to do it. As always, anything Mike and Bev Chapman have got going on, I want to be a part of it. Mike, people can hire you to be as a speaker for a variety of different types of event, but speaking engagements, that's one of the things you enjoy doing.
I really do, Scott. It gives me a chance to get out and talk about the incredible history of wrestling. As you know, it goes back 5,000 years. The oldest piece of literature in the world is the Epic of Gilgamesh, who was a warrior king in ancient Sumer, which today is Iraq, and he was a wrestler. And I talk about Jacob wrestling in the Bible and how great a wrestler Abraham Lincoln really was. And it's just a good way to, and I've had 4 speeches canceled in the last 3 months because of COVID.
Right.
And I'm waiting to hear, I'm supposed to be the guest speaker at Waterloo in November at a big annual veterans event where I'll talk about Niall Kinnick and Fred Becker, 2 more of my favorite subjects. So, yeah, I love to get out, Scott, and meet people, and I bring my books in case anybody wants to buy one.
Sure.
And it's just fun. It's like, you're so good at meeting people, and that's what I like doing, too.
Well, I'm memorable, that's for sure. It must be.
Sure are.
Zach Bogle wants a complete compendium of those books that you have written about wrestling. How does he get that? How does he...
Yes, you can go on my website,
okay.
www.mike-chapman.com, and there's all kinds of pictures on there, one of me with Ronald Reagan, and as you mentioned, I spent 2 days with Muhammad Ali back in the 80s when I was sports editor of the Cedar Rapids Gazette. It was an incredible experience. There's pictures of me with Lou Ferrigno and the great Lou Thez, and standing on the tomb of Achilles. After I wrote my novel about Achilles, my son Jason and I went to Troy and walked through the old battlefield and actually stood on the tomb of Achilles. And so, yeah, on my website, Scott, there's all kinds of information. And I've been fortunate to be inducted in 11 Halls of Fame, and the last one was the Midlands. And Dan Gable and Mike Allen and Tim Szewski inducted me, and they're right there in the picture with me. So it's a fun website, I think, with a lot of information.
I think that's very cool, by the way.
Which book should I start with?
Oh, golly. Depends on what your real interests are. I've had Mark Schultz tell me he loved Achilles.
Yeah.
And Achilles will take you back 3,000 years. And I had a professor from Columbia University call me up and said, I just read your book on Achilles, and it's the best description of ancient Greek civilization I've ever read. And, when you get something like that happen just out of the blue. And then, Scott, I was on Jan Michelson's show on WHO talking about my trip to to Troy. And 2 days later, a former professor called me up and said, I just listened to your radio interview with Jan. I'd read your book. And, Mike, I want to tell you, I think you were there 3,000 years ago. I think you were a Myrmidon fighting at Troy under Achilles. And I said, well, that's an interesting premise.
Yeah. By the way...
so anyway, probably Achilles, if you're into history and his warrior mentality and things like that. but I just had a book published called Wrestling Tough, second edition, with Kyle Snyder on the cover.
Nice.
And it talks about all the demands of wrestling and other combat sports. I use a lot of examples: Bruce Lee, Muhammad Ali, people like that. Oh, and then I wrote a book 20 years ago called Toughest Men in Sports with Bruce Lee, Muhammad Ali, and Dan Gable on the cover. And I just had Bruce Lee's #1 student teacher call me up and order it about 2 years ago. So
that's when you know you've made an impact. Mike, up against the clock, as always. We love having you on. Will you take the open invitation and return?
Scott, I was so glad to hear you were back on the radio, and I'm here anytime. Well, I've always enjoyed working with you. Gee, what's it been, about 20 years now?
16, 20, 30? Yeah, probably
somewhere
30,
in there.
30 years, yeah.
I would love to be on anytime, you guys. And, Scott, I'm so glad that you've got the show back on the air because wrestling needs it.
USA Takedown wouldn't be the same without Mike Chapman. Mike, thanks for the time today on the big program.
You bet.
Historian, well-published author, and buddy of ours, Mike Chapman. Look for him online. You can find his Wikipedia pages and also get him booked. Buy his books as well, Culture House Books. We'll be back. Terry Steiner's waiting in the wings, head coach of the women's team for Team USA. That's next on USA Takedown on 1350 ESPN.
All guests on the USA Takedown appear on the Defense Soap Newsmaker Hotline. Made in the USA with unparalleled quality, and it's guaranteed. Defense Soap. It's what the pros use.
Communities need leaders. The birthplace of Bob Feller, Van Meter, Iowa, has two. Paul Szynski and Jim Sinclair have always been there for their community and for the thing that drives us, wrestling. In a position to help or need a cause to get behind, your neighbors and friends can use a hand. Leaders always come together to help, to plan, and to work to make their communities a better place to live. So special thanks to Jim Sinclair and Paul Szynski, two examples of men who lead. Follow these two professionals on LinkedIn for investment opportunities and more.
The wrong financial decisions can undermine the best intentions. Whether concerned for your business or your family's financial future, Trent Weatherman will develop a plan, identifying your goals, and set you on the path to financial security. Trent makes plans for people, no matter your goals. Trent has access to top-rated products and services to help you meet them. In April of 2019, NerdWallet identified Northwestern Mutual as the best life insurance company. Northwestern Mutual is in the top 10 U.S. independent investment broker-dealers in the United States. See the difference for yourself at TrentWeatherman.nm.com.
Hash browns are always part of my favorite breakfast, and the place to get Des Moines' best breakfast is Mullet's Restaurant. Hi, this is Danny Bishop. Stop by on your bike along Meredith Trail by the confluence of the Raccoon and Des Moines rivers. Sit on their 2-level patio, peruse the famous breakfast menu, and you'll understand why Mullet's is the best breakfast restaurant in Des Moines. Mullet's, celebrating all things about the hairstyle that's business in the front and party in the back. Just go to the west end of the Southeast 1st Street Bridge to find Des Moines' best breakfast at Mullet's Restaurant.
Welcome back to the show, USA Takedown. Bogle, Casper, Zach. So far, the show has been high energy and populated with great people, right?
It's always a good way to start off a Friday.
Oh, it's an awesome way to, and by the way, some of these guests have history with our programming, and we love having them on because they bring it. Our next guest, no different on the Defense Soap Newsmaker Hotline. Beat the Streets undercard, by the way. 5 great matchups. I hesitate to ever call anything in wrestling an undercard because every match brings its own, but men's and women's freestylers are going to be competing well. I think it's an outstanding opportunity to catch some great wrestling. He joins us now as the head coach of Team USA Women. He is Terry Steiner. Terry, good morning. How are you? There he is. Terry, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Talk to us a little bit about your team, women, the women's team, I should say. You guys are doing an outstanding job, I think, preparing even in this day of COVID. What are the challenges facing our Olympic level athletes?
Well, I think for me, I think the biggest challenge right now is not being able to bring people together. We haven't had our national team together for quite some time, so So, it's making sure that people are getting what they need in the locations that they are, and everyone's in a different situation. So that's become the real challenge, is just, making sure they're being able to train and do the things they need to do, because, time is still moving on, and nobody's waiting, right? And we know that this time, is going to be, it's going to be important that we're using it the right way. And when we look down the road, because the Olympics are coming, and nobody's going to care what we did or didn't do when the whistle blows in Tokyo.
Well, you see football teams right now that are reactivating their programs, and some teams obviously are prepared, other teams are not. Most notably here in the state of Iowa, Iowa State was shell-shocked, as it were, in a tremendous loss to a team, from outside the state. But nonetheless, it was a team that Iowa State, on paper anyway, should have beaten. And again, it's all about preparation. It seems to me that you have conferences in every sport, by the way, that are dealing with this COVID situation, the restrictions, the preparation, all that differently. Are you on record as saying Team USA, specifically the women, are doing the right things right now to remain in a preparedness state?
Well, I hope so. I mean, and that's been our challenge with them from the beginning, from way back in March, was, we need to use this time better than anyone else in the world, because we're all in the same situation. But, we can sit here and use it as an excuse on why we're not doing this or that. But, instead, let's control what we can control. Let's do the things that we can do to keep moving us forward. And a lot of that's going to be staying connected and making sure you're asking for help if you need it. Let's find creative ways to continue doing what we're doing, and not just, you may not be on a wrestling mat. You may be out on the front lawn, right? And that's just the reality of it. And I think more and more people are finding themselves back in wrestling rooms, and maybe some never left the wrestling room. But, we definitely had limitations in different areas of the country that we had to work our way through. So that's really been the challenge, is just making sure that we're taking control of the things we can control, and continue to move forward. And hopefully at the end of the day that we've found that we've used our time better than anyone else in the world, right? And not made excuses out of it, because, like I said before, when the whistle blows in Tokyo, nobody's going to care what your excuses are.
I'm surprised you're not in New York.
Well, it's really because, we have athletes training here at the Olympic Training Center, and if we leave this location, then we have to come back in quarantine, and we lose time with athletes. So we're really just kind of hunkering down and focusing on, the people in front of us right now, and making sure they're getting what they need. And plus, there's a budget side of everything, right? And so obviously the pandemic has hit every aspect of society, and the USA Wrestling is no different, and we're trying to make sure we're doing our part to, spend as little as possible, because we know the year ahead, we have a lot of costs coming forward. And so we want to make sure that we're suited and prepared for that. And we don't want to get to the situation where we're having to lay off people and get rid of coaches and staff, and programming. So, we're just doing as little as possible right now from a financial standpoint.
Tightening the belt, as it were. Before we go to break, and we've got about a minute left in this particular segment, give me a brief overview. Shilson versus Fowler.
Well, I mean, I think it was a hard thing for Fowler, I think, coming into the match. She came in on a very little notice, and probably, maybe wasn't as prepared as Shilson knew this was coming for a long time, and so I think she probably came in a little bit awestruck, and but Shilson, is who she is. She came in and did her job and went full blast forward, and she looked good last night.
Yeah, no doubt indeed. Tell you what, and there's some men's freestyle events. We're talking about the Beat the Streets event being held at a undisclosed location. I love that. It's almost like underground wrestling.
Yeah.
Kind of like South Dakota style.
Right.
Terry Steiner, our guest, he's our buddy, head coach, USA women's team, and they have set the world on notice, by the way. One of the top-ranked, in the top 2 or 3, since Terry's been able to master everything that is women's wrestling on the world stage, and I salute you for that effort, Terry, you and your talented staff, and the women who are fully dedicated. The first women's gold medalist. Obviously, you look at Olympic gold as being the pinnacle, and that was under your watch. You've had some outstanding performances. We want to talk to you about that and more on the other side of the break. So, Terry, stand by. We'll put you on hold. We'll take a quick time out. This portion of our program brought to you by our friends Trent Weatherman, your Northwestern Mutual financial consultant. You're listening to USA Takedown from the Wild Rose Casino Studios. This is USA Takedown with Kaz Bernbogle. Stay tuned. More after this.
All USA Takedown guests appear on the Defense Soap Newsmaker Hotline. Made in the USA with unparalleled quality, and it's guaranteed Defense Soap. It's what the pros use.
The Defense Soap Facts. Dateline, Cleveland, Ohio. For 12 years, he competed. For 17 years, he coached. And for 30 years, he's policed the streets of Cleveland. He saw teams and programs decimated by skin-borne disease, a wrestler's worst nightmare. He didn't like the chemical-based products on the market and knew that there had to be a better way. A better defense. He found religion in the ingredients that make up the basis for Defense Soap. Tea tree and eucalyptus oil. Defense Soap. All natural, safe to use. It's available around the world now at defensesoap.com.
We're celebrating 5 years of winning at Wild Rose Casino and Resort, and it's gonna rock. Join us Friday night, September 11th for an outdoor concert with Arch Allies, followed by a huge fireworks show. The fists will be flying on Saturday the 12th with Extreme Challenge 239 MMA. Get tickets and learn more at wildroseresorts.com. Wild Rose Casino and Resort, Jefferson. You'd rather be here.
Hi, it's Danny Bishop. Today's economy presents certain challenges, and along with those come opportunities. The potential rewards are for those who are adept at identifying long-term trends. Don Boyd and his team of financial advisors at 5 Talents Financial Management Group can help you navigate today's economy. Whether you're facing retirement or just looking to better understand certain investment ideas, they can help you. 5 Talents Financial Management Group's first priority is your overall financial success. And that's why they learn about your individual situation, identify your dreams and goals, and get a picture of your tolerance for risk. Long-term relationships that encourage open and honest communication are the cornerstone of their foundation of success. FTFMG.com or call 223-7487, 223-7487. 5 Talents Financial Management Group.
Yeah, 5 Talents Financial Management. Danny, well done on the spot, but we want to thank Donnie Boyd and his talented team. Don Boyd is, the financial experts that take care of my father and our families, so appreciate Don Boyd and his team, and you could too. Look for him online or do give him a call, okay? And let them know that you heard about it on USA Takedown. Appreciate that. From Bismarck, North Dakota to Colorado Springs, that's where he makes his home now. He and his family, his brother out there, Troy's out of Fresno State. And what a great job they did in picking that head coach for the return of the program. And we're talking, of course, Troy Steiner. But Terry Steiner, our guest this morning, largely regarded as one of the great coaches in the country and one of those in the world as well, shepherding women's wrestling into a new era, and that is one that is a winning era. He joins us now again on the Newsmaker Hotline, brought to you by Defense Soap. Terry, welcome back. Thank you for holding.
Thanks, Scott.
Let's. I do want to focus on one thing. If there was a handful of things that you brought to the table that were gifted to you by Dan Gable. What were those things that Gable gave to you, whether it was through coaching or conversation or what have you? But in terms of coaching, what did Gable pass on to you?
There's so many things, Scott. But, I think overall vision, a vision of what can be done, right? And what, just shooting for higher than maybe what most people think is capable. I think he just gave, there was nothing unrealistic, right? It was just always striving for the top and striving to not just to be the best, but, be the best that you can be, every single day and being willing to work for it, and I think if you bring the willingness, anything is possible, right? And I saw, when I was at Iowa, people in that Iowa program that, and I would say I was one of them that maybe no business being there in the first place, right? But after a short period of time, there was a real transformation, right? And who you were and how you thought, and you really gave yourself a chance. And I think just that opening that door and that vision and with the right opportunity and the right mindset, anything's possible.
Opportunities, mindset. Gable was a master at pushing the right buttons at the right time. Individual athletes were different, and you were one of them. But if I would say that you and your brother were probably the two of the twins that are in wrestling or were in wrestling, you two were probably more similar than others. At least that's my estimation. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, I think so. I credit a lot to our parents. We grew up in with a set of parents that were very straightforward and were very hard workers. And, when they set their mind to something, not much stopped them. And I think they definitely passed that on to us, just the ability and the willingness to get in there and get your hands dirty and realize that there's going to be hardships along the way, but if you keep working, good things can happen, and not that they always will, but without the hard work and without the discipline, it's probably not going to happen. And so, I think our parents, gave us a great foundation, and then when we got to Iowa, Coach Gable and his staff just added to that, and it gave us a great chance to step forward and succeed. Right.
Yeah, that's the best part. Zach?
Yeah, Coach, I read that an article last year where you said you wanted to get rid of folk style and go to freestyle. You said it puts us at a disadvantage. Do you think that that's something that the fans would adapt to?
Yeah, I don't think. I think fans would adapt, right? I think fans are, when you look at the college programs out there, people are fans of the University of Iowa and fans of Penn State and Ohio State and Oklahoma State and those kind of schools. They're going to support those athletes no matter what style they're doing, right? And I just look at it from a different perspective, right? I'm looking at it from a national coach perspective, and if we're trying to be the number one wrestling nation in the world, we're really, we hold ourselves back a little bit. And I'm not saying that folk style, I think that it also adds some things to freestyle and some grit and toughness, but there's little things that you have to relearn a little bit along the way once that college career is over. That takes some time to adjust.
Yep.
Right. And I think if we had, kids focusing on that through high school and college, only freestyle and Greco-Roman, it would show. There's no doubt with our infrastructure and what we have with our programs within our educational institutions. That is a huge thing that the rest of the world does not have.
Right.
Most of the rest of the world, and they're envious of that. Right?
Terry, we're envious of other programs that have more time left in the hour. In other words, we got to go to the top of the hour. We appreciate you taking time. You're a busy man. We understand that. Best to you, your staff, and the women's team, okay?
You bet. Thank you, Scott.
There he goes, Terry Steiner checking in on the USA Takedown Defense Soap Newsmaker Hotline. Up next, Joey Krebs, Donnie Whitten, Ashton Barker. We're going to talk high school wrestling. We're going to talk our West Coast correspondent, Joey Krebs. That's all coming up in hour number 2. Stay tuned. More USA Takedown on the other side of this top of the hour ID. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back. Hour number 2 of the big program on the air. It's USA Takedown at 1350 ESPN. Some computer glitch, but we got it worked out. Mark Cody, Mike Chapman, Terry Steiner, all in hour number 1. Zach's hot takes. Matter of fact, we touched on the hot take, Zach, and that hot take was Michael Chandler going over from Bellator, became a free agent, and going over to UFC. Is that the right time, or are we a year or two late? Your thoughts on that?
I think it's the perfect timing. I'd like to see more crossover between the different promotions like Bellator, UFC, the ONE FC overseas. I like to see it. I'm a big Michael Chandler fan, big Mizzou fan, so I think it's perfect.
Dayton Fix has been suspended for 1 year after testing positive for a banned substance known as Ostrin. Were you happy with the, I don't want to say excuse, but the supposed reason that he gave?
Yeah, I don't know. It's something that I don't know, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether or not that I believe the story. The story was that it was unknown. He didn't know that he took it.
Right.
He said it was a family member of his and he accidentally consumed it or whatever.
Right.
It doesn't matter what I think. What matters is what USADA thinks, the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency. They believed his story. Therefore, they gave him a 1 year suspension instead of 2. And so people are saying, why a 1 year suspension if they believe that he didn't know it? And that's like, they chalk it up basically to like self-responsibility. You should know what's going in your body. They said that, okay, we believe you. They gave him a 1 year suspension.
Amen. By the way, in coming weeks, and we booked this show weeks in advance in many instances, we want to make sure our athletes, coaches, and guests are committed to being on the air with us, and we want to be able to promote that in advance. So if you'd like to be on the program, email me at scottc@gmail.com, scottc0581@gmail.com. Again, one more time, scottc0581@gmail.com. You got something you want to say, something you want to promote? If it fits and it works for us, we will, by golly, we'll get you booked. You bet we will. Zach, you also have a program that has caught fire. You guys are reaching new numbers, new heights with Stalemates.
Yeah, we just had our highest view video with the interview with Joey the Needle. He's an author. He wrote a book about his time that he did in prison. You guys go check it out at Stalemates Show, YouTube, subscribe, Stalemates, all that.
All right. Next up on the program, a great friend of ours. He is known as our USA Takedown West Coast correspondent. His name, Joey Krebs. You might know him as a well-published author. When I say published, I mean his work is seen everywhere. Most notably, of course, is a album cover for the band Rage Against the Machine. He is Joey Krebs. Good morning, Joey. How are you?
Wrestling saves lives, saving lives one takedown at a time. Grandpa, please. Oh, sorry about that. That's my grandpa. He loves to kind of get in on the action. And, yeah.
For those of you that may not, if you've heard Joey, you understand the humor. Joey looks at life a little bit differently than the rest of us, and shouldn't we all? Because there's a lighter side, if you will, to our sport. And through the lens, Joey brings us great visuals of wrestling moments and the personalities that make up our sport. But through his art, he brings apart. How would you describe your art, Joey?
Well, it's just very satirical, and it questions our culture and questions.
Mm-hmm. And culture with a K, by the way.
Right, culture with a K. There's so much out there, whether it's political, social, cultural, that needs to be addressed. It's no longer about creating images. It's about being a kind of a provocateur, an individual who questions our culture and question.
By the way, we have a call on line 3. Shepard Ferry's on the line. Shepard? No? I'm sorry. Yeah, he's not there either. Talk to us about your ongoing battle with the well-known tagger, if you will, Shepard Ferry. He used to be kind of a cutting-edge guy, but he's kind of sold out, hasn't he?
Well, yeah, he's no longer called Shepard Ferry. He's actually called Shepard Phony.
Oh.
He's bought out media in every conceivable, imagined way to kind of create this fiction of who he is. And I said, well, let's pop the bubble. Let's pop the balloon. Let's fight it out in a cage match in the great tradition of wrestlers turned combatives.
What was his
in the MMA world?
What was his response?
He was too scared.
Yeah, of course. And as Shepard, you're right, has sold out to corporate America in many ways, and cities around the world have employed his rather weak attempt at cornering culture. That's both K's, by the way, cornering culture.
Yeah,
that's where you tend to rise above it. You did a wonderful was it the World Cup, Joey?
That's right. Correct.
Was it called the Wrestling Aesthetic?
Right. It was creatively curated by Johnny Rugen, who actually listens into our show. He's the director of TMWC, Titan Mercury Wrestling, and he's a big art supporter. Both him, I, and Justin Hart, Art World, luminaries from the wrestling world, actually participated in the group exhibition and generating a lot of interest.
If Johnny is indeed listening, he needs to know. And by the way, Zach, I appreciate you doing this morning specifically because we just got them in the mail. But the new T-shirts from Duke Wrestling have arrived, and you are sporting yours today. I love that. And you need to get some Titan Mercury Wrestling gear.
Absolutely.
So, Johnny Ruggiano, here's the deal. Zach, what size T-shirt?
Large.
Large. And let's say wrestling shorts. What kind of shorts? What size?
Small.
Small. Really?
Yeah. I'm built differently.
Yeah, you're definitely thin. But I would suggest, Johnny Ruggiano, you know me, give me a call, and I'll be happy to get you an address. But you should be sporting some Titan Mercury Wrestling gear on the Stalemate show. Wouldn't you say that's a good idea, Joey?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And talking about setting fires, which Zach was doing with his interviews on the Stalemate show, we have had a lot of fires, and a lot of the wrestling families, Oregon State, Isaiah Martinez and the assistant coaches had to be evacuated. There was some serious things. Johnny Ruggiano, I was on the phone with him last night, and he actually was being evacuated from his house.
Oh, wow.
With regard to the California Bobcat fire. So they were just picking up all their pets and his new baby and traveling to a hotel for a couple of nights. So I've been in contact with everyone, as well as the Stanford wrestling community. They're battling it out, trying to maintain their program and continuing on with their cause.
What is your take on the whole Stanford issue? Because it's surely not a money issue, is it?
No, it comes down to the same old situation of programs that have been dissolved and disintegrated. It's an administrator that's coming in and who necessarily doesn't really like the wrestling program, and he as a result of his hubris, he does not want to change the face of his decision-making and basically walks away after a couple of years. Programs like Boise, Fresno State.
Fresno
Stanford.
we have back, but I mean, I understand what you're saying.
But that was the issue at that particular time. Yeah.
And if you look at their endowment, which is in the hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, I mean, Stanford is not a poor institution.
Absolutely. I mean, we really need these really important West Coast programs.
How important, you bring it up, okay, and I want to bring it up too. Cal Baptist, the Lancers there with Lenny Zaleski. How important is the state of California to the national scene of college wrestling? Because let's face it, there's only a few programs in the state that can, and a few positions that can be offered to in-state wrestlers to stay in-state. But realistically, the 29,000 plus high school athletes have a few places to go in state, so they must look elsewhere, yeah?
Absolutely. I mean, it started with people like Jake Varner that went to the Met West and attended the Cyclone program, and he was four-time finalist.
Out of Bakersfield, California.
Out of Bakersfield, California, and we also have Zahid Valencia, who actually went to Arizona State. So our blue chip talent goes on to top-level national awards and become international renowned wrestlers as well. I mean, Eric Guerrero from Oklahoma State. We had some incredible, great athletes that are at the very top of the blue chip wrestling skills.
And you look at the athletes and what they've been able to accomplish out of Bakersfield. That's just an example, by the way. And be thinking about this while I prattle on the top high school programs that are well known nationally out of California. But I will say this: you look at the individuals out of Bakersfield and other programs out there. Guys like Eric Guerrero, now the coach of the
Regional Training Center,
the RTC down in Stillwater, doing a great job there. But Jake Varner could probably still go at his weight to compete for a spot on Team USA, and I wouldn't fault him if I had that frame and strength, that natural God-given strength that he has. I'd go at the drop of a hat too. I don't know if I put in a lot of practice time at his age, but I still think I'd go and see where I rank. Randy Lewis did, so why not Jake Varner?
Yeah, it's all up to him. I mean, he's working with the greatest program in the nation right now, Penn State.
Yeah, no doubt.
Closely followed by Iowa.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts, Joey, on high schools in the state of California? And I said, hey, be thinking at least about some of those top programs. What are or who are some of the top programs in the state of California as we sit today?
Well, we've got top-notch programs. I mean, so much that Cormier actually took an interest in retiring from MMA and also serving as a coach for Gilroy. That's how serious these wrestling programs are.
Oh, Gilroy's. And because Daniel Cormier put his effort into that program, others followed, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we have incredible people involved in high school sport. It's a celebrity of international wrestlers and MMA fighters that give back to their program. We have Buchanan, Clovis, Bakersfield High School. We have Poway down in San Diego.
Oh, Poway is one of my faves.
Yeah.
They travel well. That's a team that travels well and well coached. You know, that's part of it.
They have a great program.
Yeah, you could do well at home. You could do well in your own backyard, but how do you travel? Let's face it. Here's the deal about California high school wrestling, why it's important. Because it's one class. It's not four classes like the state of Iowa, right? Or three classes at some states, or even two. It's one class. So that means 29,752 wrestlers every year have to be boiled down into one class, and that state championship is so very special because of it.
One true champion. Yep.
Yeah, and I kind of would like to see that when you see conference championships. You know, at the collegiate level, I'd like to see that. A Division II wrestle up
D1,
a Division
2, 3.
Exactly.
Yep.
Why not?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Absolutely.
fun.
Did Aaron Pico?
No, that's a really interesting. That's an interesting cause, because there was one individual who was Carlton Hasserick, who was so dominating. He beat D1s, and then D1 that year they made what was considered the Carlton Hasserick rule, where no D2s, no 3-3s, no NAIAs could qualify, and they made that only a D1 and an exclusive to promote the level of promoting the D1 wrestling.
But that's short-sighted in my estimation. Why would you take the better athletes out of the picture if, in fact, they were better? Hasselrig surely proved his mettle. God rest his soul. I know we recently lost Carlton. Great guest on the program, a true friend of the sport. He loved wrestling like no other. But I think we're selling ourselves short by not doing that. If you recall, the Midlands used to be one of those tournaments where you could be a past Olympian, a past NCAA champ or Big Ten champ or whatever, and challenge for a spot in that largely regarded as one of the great invitationals in the country.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Okay, all right. The Phantom Street Artist is what he's well known as. That is his nom de plume.
And let's not forget the Dave Schultz Trophy as well.
No, the founder of the Dave Schultz Trophy. He designed it, and it's awarded every year. Who won it last year, the Dave Schultz Trophy?
You wouldn't believe it. Vasquez won it. He actually is on his way to Arizona State. Was always big on Ohio State working with Tom Ryan, but he decided to go at the last minute, and he won it 2 years in a row. So that's how dominant. He's a 4-time high school champion.
Four-time. Zach, you were in the midst of asking a question. Go for it, man.
Yeah, I was going to ask you earlier when we were talking about California State High School. Did Aaron Pico ever win a state title in California?
Who was that?
Aaron Pico.
Aaron Pico.
Oh, yeah. Aaron Pico won it for St. John Bosco's, and then he basically, I think he was went into MMA, straight into MMA.
You know, I remember meeting him at Bosco High, at the high school, at the gym during weigh-ins. And for Pico and I, it was on at that point. We were going to be friends for the rest of our lives, and that's held true. He's still that same kid. He's still that same guy, now a professional athlete. Largely, he wanted the best of the best in his debut with Bellator, but they gave him a real hard guy, not a can. And, I think he got a wake-up call. Agree or disagree?
Yep, but... he actually went in and started working with AKA, Body Shop, and now he's with Jackson out in New Mexico.
Right.
And
Jackson...
He was a finalist, too, at the World Team Trials as
right.
well.
He doesn't give up on it, dude. I tell you what, one of the best guys to be around. He wants somebody who can add a little lip to the conversation. Aaron Pico's the man. All right.
And he was just barely out of high school.
How can people find you online, dude? Because I want people to see your artwork. I want people to catch the culture with a K that is the Phantom Street Artist.
Just go to my Facebook page. It's El Fantôme, EL.FATOM. I've got 5,000 friends. We've got an incredible album portfolio of different social, cultural events I've done all over the world. Working with many different bands like B-52s, top-notch bands, Axe, Psychedelic Furs. Just the list goes on as well.
You are welcome. That's one of the things I love about you. You melt into the background at an NCAA championship. You're welcome backstage at any concert, and the big names. I mean, you shot them all from the Beach Boys to Guns N' Roses.
Yep. I also know the individual that discovered Guns N' Roses named Vicki Hamilton, that was who wrote a book. She's a phenomenal figure as well. So there's a great history out in California with rock and roll, and whether it's Jimi Hendrix, who plays at the Hollywood Bowl, or Jim Morrison, really great stuff. And I'm happy to be the chronicler, as well as my passion for wrestling as well.
Yeah, you chronicle our sports so very well. Joey, we love you. We appreciate you being our USA Takedown West Coast correspondent as well. Your voice is important, and we appreciate the fact you got up early to join us on the program today on USA Takedown.
Thanks so much, Scott. Keep it up.
God bless you, dude. There he goes. Joey Krebs, one of my faves. He's not just a personality. He's somebody, once you get to know him, and Zach, I hope you have him on Stalemates, because he really is. He's got the coolest collection of hats. I often challenge him in the middle of summer, why are you wearing a fur hat? And he doesn't have a good answer for it. It's just because that's what he picked out that day.
Right on.
But he also stands out because of it, and I like that. Tell you what, we're going to take a quick time out. Danny Bishop, our producer on the program today, our Defense Hope Newsmaker hotline has been lit up here in the Wild Rose Casino studios. I do want to thank everybody at Wild Rose Casino for making MMA popular last weekend. There was a great show, and it had some incredible results, but it was another Monty Cox production, and Travis Dvorak, or as I call him, Dvorak, the GM out there, has done an outstanding job of making MMA feel at home in Jefferson, Iowa, Greene County, the home of that location. Of course, 3 locations to serve you, where you can take your friends and game throughout the evening, and on the weekends, they got it going on at Wild Rose Casino and Resorts. Look for them in Clinton, Emmitsburg, and Jefferson. More on the other side. You're listening to USA Takedown, Bogle and Casper. Stay tuned.
Think you've heard everything? Stick around. You ain't heard nothing yet. More USA Takedown after this.
The term barbarian was first used in ancient Greece. The athletes were said to be barbarians. Today's modern athletes embrace the hard work when wearing the great gear from Barbarian Apparel. You make the choice. Custom graphics, the best sublimation, colors that pop, and logos that matter. Barbarian provides great service before and after the process. Make the right choice. Choose Barbarian Apparel. BarbarianApparel.com. Calderberg's PBS Landscaping knows what grows best in Iowa because they're from Iowa. Locally owned and operated, Calderberg's is a full-service landscaping and lawn care company. Everything you need from lawn care and landscape design to water features, tree planting, irrigation, and snow removal. Matt Calderberg and his staff are great. They take care of my family year-round. They can take care of yours, too. My office and home, they cover it all. They're my friends and should be yours as well. Visit them at calderberglandscaping.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Wild Rose Casinos. We have more special guests before we are off today.
Yeah. And one of the things that you like to do, Zach, I noticed, you want to get down to the nuts and bolts of what a high school wrestler is and what makes them approachable and what makes them consider a collegiate career, right?
Absolutely.
It's not just free college. It's to continue your prowess, continue your growth, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Student athlete.
Student athletes, and that's always student first, okay? Say what you will, but that's the truth. Believe me, every professor out there could care less about your wrestling ability. They want to know how you're going to do in their classroom. Are you going to bring that bell curve up or down? Donnie Whitten is there to do both, to be a great wrestler and a great student, and he's going to do so, at least as I understand it, at Presbyterian College. Let's join him now. Donnie Whitten joins us from Texas. Donnie, how are you?
I'm really good, really good.
Are you down in Arlington or where?
Arlington, yeah. Yes, sir.
Arlington. All right, Donnie. You got to tell me how you got to Arlington, because originally, are you from Chicago or where?
Yeah, I'm from Chicago, yeah.
How did that work?
So, actually, when I lived in Chicago, I was with my mom. And they parted ways, and I stayed with my mom. And I didn't know anything about wrestling at all. And so my mom decided it would be better for me to come down and live with my dad. So I came down here, started living with my dad. And for like the first year down here, my dad would not let me wrestle at all. I'm like, Dad, I want to wrestle. He's like, nah, he wouldn't let me. And so I was like, all right. So he finally let me wrestle, and I got into it at the age of 10, pretty sure, yeah. When I was 10, and then so I've been down here wrestling ever since.
Now, your dad is a member of, largely regarded as one of the great wrestling clubs in American wrestling history, and that, of course, being the Harvey Twisters.
Yes.
Am I correct on that?
Yeah. That was my, his dad started that. My grandfather started that team.
Okay.
And so my dad was just a son of it.
By the way, I think the boys all look good in the white shirts and red ties. Wouldn't you agree? That picture is a lifestyle. We build champions.
Sure.
I'm looking at the website. So you've grown up. Here's the reason I bring all that up. Okay, you've grown up in a wrestling culture. You were held back by your own father, wanting to make sure that they knew, or that you knew rather, that there had to be some respect paid. You don't just walk in, walk on. You got to do the work, right?
Yes, sir. My dad. Because I was really good at baseball when I was down in Chicago. My mom was really good at it. And so my dad was like, do you want to play baseball or do you want to wrestle? And he kept asking me that throughout the year. I used to go help him at tournaments, go watch tournaments with the kids that he had at the time. And I used to love watching. I'm like, but it seems really fun. I was like 90 pounds at the time, though. Like, not really big kid. So he didn't let me. Then he finally let me. And so then we started working. He's like, you got to know this is what you really want. Because we're not going to go down this path. It's going to be hard. So if this is not what you really want, don't tell me now, because there's no going back. Sat down and had a 30-minute conversation about it, and I finally started to wrestle.
Donnie Whitten is our guest. He is Donnie. Are you a junior?
I'm a senior this year.
No. Are you a junior when it comes to your name?
Oh no. Me and my dad have different middle names.
Because he's Donnie with a Y. Are you Donnie with an IE?
No. Our first name is Donovan. Both our first names, but we both have different middle names. And it's like we got the same initials, but my middle name is Jovan, and his middle name is Jermaine. It's not really that much of a difference, but by that, I'm not a junior.
Okay, I thought you might roll with DJ. But I'm glad you're Donnie. Donnie, Presbyterian College, that's where you're going. Before we go there, let's go to Zach Bogle in the studio. This is one of the great kids out of Texas, largely overlooked on the national scene for college athletes, at least for wrestling, football and baseball. Man, they grow them down there big time. But wrestlers, it's like the best kept secret nationally as far as recruiting purposes. Zach?
Yeah, what were some of your other options for college?
Michigan State, Purdue, ODU at the time it was there. It was Brown, Cornell. There's a few of them out there. That was the ones I can remember right now.
And so, what made you choose Presbyterian?
See, I feel like it was a God thing because at first I was going to my buddy Dominic Chavez. He committed to not ODU, but Presbyterian, and I committed to ODU, and I was going there, and then out of nowhere they shut down the program.
Right. How disappointing was that?
That was tough for me because I didn't know anything about it, and I kind of just found out from Flo, and then I was like, nah, they can't be true. They haven't called me. They haven't really put me in there. And then my dad got a call, and he's like, it's happening. And so I was like, it's tough.
You got to deal with what you can deal with, right?
Yeah. I was like, my first thought was, man, I haven't wrestled a while. I think at the time I was still ranked like number 10 or 5, something like that between there. And so I was like, I may, but I was at 106. I'm not even nowhere near 106 right now. And my dad's like, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. And so Coach Cody reached out to me and a few other schools. And I was like, well, I know Dom went there. My brother, not my brother, but my friend Dom, he went there. And Dom is somebody I trust with. I got a lot of trust in him. And Dom doesn't really just trust anybody. So when I knew that he can trust Coach Cody, that was really one of my top options.
You know, and did you take a campus visit there to Spartanburg?
I have not yet.
Oh, you're going to love it, dude. Make sure they take you to Fats, okay? FATZ, okay. Fats BBQ. You like barbecue?
Okay. I love barbecue. A lot of it down here.
But Donnie, 133-pound Texas Standout doesn't necessarily spell a whole lot of time sitting at the trough that is a barbecue restaurant, right? Do you gotta watch what you eat, or do you burn it off pretty quick?
Nah, I'm not. I can't. I don't really burn it off really quick. Usually, like right now, if I'm eating whatever I want, I get up to like the highest I got to right now is like 160, 161.
Well, you just ballooned right up there, didn't you?
Yeah.
161.
I don't know what it is. It's just every year I get a little bit bigger because every year I lift in the summer. And so I went from 106 to 126, and I'm in between like 150, 145 between there right now. And I'm like, you know what? I got to get my weight back down. Then I got to keep it down some more for college. But I feel like 133 to be the right weight for me.
He is Whitted trained. Donnie Whitted, our guest, Texas Standout. You project out at what weight, Donnie?
133, 141.
So, okay, and obviously you wouldn't project out at that weight if you didn't think you could not only hit it, but maintain it. And maintenance at a weight anymore is really the watchword, right? Isn't that the right thing to do, is maintaining your weight, not struggling to get down to it, then blowing through it, and then going, putting 10 pounds right back on?
Yeah.
Is that part of the training philosophy of, not just Whitted training, but also our friends at the Harvey Twisters? Isn't it being prepared at all times for your weight?
Yes. So what we usually do is, I go in and out of the Harvey Twisters, but I'm pretty sure it's the same thing where my dad's from. And so what my dad tells me is, like, ever since I was 12, I didn't understand it at the time, but I used to cut 10, 12, 13 pounds, like, since I was 12 to get on these national dual teams when I was a kid. And so, I didn't understand it. My dad was like, you got to cut the weight. You got to. I didn't have a choice at that time. I was like, I don't understand it. But now I come to high school and I really understand, like, I got to cut a little bit. I can cut 10 pounds like this. My dad said, as long as you maintain between 7 and 8 pounds,
right,
you can get that off. You should be getting a good workout in. If you need more than one workout, then that's what you need to do. You should be able to lose like 3 to 5 pounds a day and be able to eat something back on. So you should be eating all week.
And by the way, that's I like that. I like that idea. Get witted, huh?
Yeah,
and that could go with get with it, but no, I'm going to go with get witted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, my dad keeps me in the dark with stuff like that, and I was like, Dad, what are we gonna have in the shirts? What are we gonna have on this? He's like, wait, I got you. You'll see. And then come on, and that's the point where he's like, oh, you don't wrestle for me no more. And so now I gotta work for the gear. I gotta get all that stuff for myself.
You know what? The blue hose got it going on, man. I think you're going to be looking good in the colors, number one. Number two, I think you're going to have an impact on the culture, whether that's with a C or a K. I don't care. I think Coach Cody has got it going on down there, and I know we had him on earlier in the show, and while we couldn't really talk specifically about you due to NCAA rules, you know, I still wanted to have you on once I found out that you had committed there. Making that decision, even in the face of ODU dropping their program, or at least that's the prospectus is that they will be dropping their program. What are your thoughts on making that decision? How difficult was it? I mean, just to finally say it's done. This is where I'm going. Is that a difficult process?
Yeah, it was really difficult. Really difficult. At first, I really wasn't sure. I know Coach Cody was one of my best options.
Right.
But when I committed to ODU, the coaches and the bonds I already built there with the coaches, and the coaches went to another school, and they were wanting me too at Campbell. And so, and I was really, really fond of that coach. And I was like, yeah. And it came down to the people I'll be around, and then the way that I want to be, not in college but after college. What do I want to be? What do I want to do? That's kind of what it came down to at that point. And so
culture is huge, though. I mean, that's what affects a young person, male or female, especially athletes, because you guys soak it all up. There's some adulation that goes on. You guys are the big men on campus, as it were, and you have to hold yourself in high regard if other people are going to be expected to do the same. Would you say that's true?
Yes. One thing that my high school coach says now is, I won't expect you to do anything that I can't do myself. And I feel like that's the same way Coach Cody's going with it. And so that's why I can get behind him. I have a lot of respect for him.
Coach Cody said that you can outwork most. Is that true?
Yeah.
No question.
That's my dad. He said if you can outwork people in your room, and that room is going to be, I mean, my buddy Dom always used to beat me, and we used to go back and forth and win and runs and stuff. That room's not going to be nothing to sneeze at when I get there.
All right, do me a favor. In the time remaining, and it's just a brief few moments left, who is the best guy on your team at your school?
Right now?
Yeah. But set yourself aside. I wouldn't ask you to name yourself, okay?
Yeah.
Who's the best guy?
Right now?
Yeah. Who should be being looked at by every college in the country?
I would say it's a good friend of mine. I've known him for years, Jaden Tulance.
James what?
Jaden Tulance.
Jaden Jewett?
Tulance.
That went over my head.
What are you getting? Spell it for us. Jaden. Maybe at some point we'll get
JaDenTwolance. Jaden Tulance.
Julance. Okay. Julance. All right. Well, do me a favor. Tell him we're looking at him, and I want to know where he lands. Is he looking at anybody in particular?
Not that I know of.
Oh my.
Not that I know of.
Oh my.
So I've been kind of talking to him about Presbyterian.
Mm-hmm. You better.
I have a friend.
You know, a lot of people don't realize part of the job of a new recruit is to bring along others with them, whether it's family, friends, or teammates. There's a lot of pressure there, Zach.
Yeah, what's your recruiting pitch sound like? Quick 30 seconds.
Quick, my recruiting pitch is, man, you got me, you got Dom. You know, come on down. It's just it's like high school all over again. Why not go longer in life with the best friend that you already had?
That's what I'm talking about. And
hey, where do I sign up?
What? You got
I got 4 years left. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I've got like 5 minutes of eligibility left, and that I think has to do with my ability to draw a breath. Hey, Donnie, it's good to catch up with you, brother. I'm looking forward to seeing the results. I know Coach Cody very well, and I think you guys are a great fit together. He'll challenge you, dude. He'll challenge you, and I've seen him boot guys from his team for not following team rules. Yeah. Initially, I questioned that, but I've watched him take guys off the team for breaking cardinal rules. You know what? Without rules, the team is nothing, right?
No, without rules, there is nothing. Like, even our coach, that's why my coach here is really like Coach Cody in a great way. They're so similar. Like, just this past year, my coach, he kicked off a state champ and 4, I think 3 times 30 placers, all seniors, because they weren't coming to practice. They're as he thought they were too high, whatever he had arranged with them, they were not doing. So he kicked them all off. And so it's really like if you can't, don't matter how good you are, if you can't fall in line, then we don't want you here. We don't need you.
Do you follow mixed martial arts at all?
A
little bit
of jiu-jitsu. Not really. Other than that, not really.
Okay. Well, not everybody does, but it's in some instances a natural next step after college. Maybe test out the waters. Does that appeal to you at all?
As of right now?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, could you stand getting hit in the face?
See, usually, like in a wrestling match, I can be like, okay, he beat me here, but maybe if we got in the actual fight, I can get him. I can have it on my mind. It may not never happen, but that calms me down. That makes me okay. Now, if he punched me in the face and he beats me in the actual fight, now I got to settle with, I can't beat him up. I can't do anything.
All right. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, Donnie, I want to know, who is the Dan Gable of Texas?
Dan Gable of Texas.
Yeah.
The state of Texas. Is it Bo Nickel?
Yeah, he's talked about it a lot. See, I couldn't really give you an answer on that one.
I got you stopped?
Yeah, I couldn't really give you an answer on that one.
It could be you.
Just not because I don't know these guys and I don't know these wrestlers.
Right.
It's just that I never really fed into it. I never followed their career as of what they've done. I've seen what Bo Nickel's seen. I've seen what he's done in college.
Yeah.
And by far, for me right now, that would be the best guy we produce out here.
I think he's a terrific athlete for sure, but I think it's fair, the answer you gave us. I really do. All right, Donnie, what do you want to say to your coaches at high school, the coaches at the club level as well? What do you want to say to them?
Well, to my high school coach, I want to thank him from all the time that I was cutting weight, and I really couldn't. Sometimes I want to cut weight the best way.
Right.
But he stuck there with me. And for just being there for me. Like my high school coach has been there for me for a lot of things. And he's been there and he's stuck there with me now. My dad's been there for everything.
He's your hero.
He's my club coach. He's my dad. So it's like it's just cool getting to have that.
It's cool, man. It's cool. And my dad is my hero too. Okay, I love it when I hear an athlete give credit to dad, because so many trips, so many times in the corners, in the gyms, making weight, dealing with that attitude at home. It's not easy being a parent of an athlete that's struggling to make their goals. And I want to challenge you to always tell your pop you love him and you appreciate him, because their butt. That's the guy that set the pace and set the stage for you. Donnie, great catching up with you. I appreciate you taking the time. Next time you and I talk, you'll be at Presbyterian. I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Best to you and your team down there, okay?
Yes, sir.
And tell your pop I said hey.
All right.
Gotcha. There we go, buddy. Donnie Whitten. What an outstanding interview. 133-pounder, bringing it. This USA Takedown brought to you by our friends at Mullet's Restaurant on First, downtown Des Moines, over by the ballpark, the Chow Hall for wrestlers and fans, and by our friends at 5 Talents Financial Management Group on Instagram is a great graphic. Now, we've talked about Michael Chandler becoming a free agent, leaving Bellator, signing with the UFC. And have you seen the graphic we posted, Zach? This particular graphic?
Yes,
have
I
you
have.
seen that?
Yep.
Okay. As Chandler looking at the veritable mass of humanity that is his weight class. And the most notable, right in the middle, of course, is Conor McGregor. But who else should he be concerned with of those talented athletes in the UFC?
Yeah, that's probably one of the most stacked divisions, at least in my opinion. Who would I like to see him fight?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. I think, Dustin Poirier is supposed to fight Tony Ferguson coming up, but there's kind of some issues there when it comes to contracts. So if that fight, if that fight falls through, I'd like to see Michael Chandler and Dustin Poirier go at it.
How about you folks? Make sure you let us know. Email me or get on Facebook at our Facebook at Takedown, USATakedown.com, USA Takedown, or on Facebook, also on Twitter, also on Instagram. Give them the Facebook, Twitter, and all the social media addresses if you would. Zach Bogle.
Yes, USA Takedown Show on Twitter. It's at USA Takedown Show. Facebook, you just search USA Takedown Radio Show. We also have the website, which is www.usatakedown.com.
All right, more on the other side. You're listening to The True Americans, Casper and Bogle. This is USA Takedown, only on Iowa Sports Leader, 1350 ESPN.
USA Takedown is brought to you by Barbarian Apparel and Caldenberg's PBS Landscaping. Stay tuned. More USA Takedown after this short timeout.
The Defense Soap Facts. Dateline, Cleveland, Ohio. For 12 years, he competed. For 17 years, he coached. And for 30 years, he's policed the streets of Cleveland. He saw teams and programs decimated by skin-borne disease, a wrestler's worst nightmare. He didn't like the chemical-based products on the market and knew that there had to be a better way. A better defense. He found religion in the ingredients that make up the basis for Defense Soap. Tea tree and eucalyptus oil. Defense Soap. All natural, safe to use. It's available around the world now at defensesoap.com.
This pony needs a new home. Wild Rose Casino and Resort Jefferson has an exclusive drawing for our VIPs. Earn entries now for your shot at a new Ford Mustang Fastback. But this ride can only go home with select Club Wild members. Check your status today when you play at Wild Rose Casino and Resort Jefferson. You'd rather be here.
Must be 21 or older. If you or someone you know needs gambling treatment, call 1-800-BEDS-OFF.
Hi, it's Danny Bishop. Today's economy presents certain challenges, and along with those come opportunities. The potential rewards are for those who are adept at identifying long-term trends. Don Boyd and his team of financial advisors at 5 Talents Financial Management Group can help you navigate today's economy. Whether you're facing retirement or just looking to better understand certain investment ideas, they can help you. 5 Talents Financial Management Group's first priority is your overall financial success. And that's why they learn about your individual situation, identify your dreams and goals, and get a picture of your tolerance for risk. Long-term relationships that encourage open and honest communication are the cornerstone of their foundation of success. FTFMG.com or call 223-7487, 223-7487. 5 Talents Financial Management Group.
I want to say it's Today's Tom Sawyer, yeah? No? Different song?
No, you got that one right.
Did I nail it?
You nailed that one.
Wow, showing my age and my skill all at the same time.
Yeah, boomer.
How old were you when you started competing, whether it's wrestling or not? But let's say you were 10 years old and you were competing, say, for Iowa City West. How old would you be? Would you be 10? Would you be 8? Would you be 7, 6? How old were you, Zach, when you started competing?
When I started competing, my first competition, probably second grade maybe?
Second grade? What is that, 15 years old? For you?
I did it 7 times.
By the way, I do want to throw one more plug out there for Joey the Needle. You want to see an interesting perspective on the evolution of steroids within the world of mixed martial arts and sports in general. Check it out, the Stalemates special. It's called Joey the Needle. Look for it on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, the Stalemates YouTube channel. Did I get it right?
Absolutely. That was great. That was better than I could have done.
And who are the guys that really worked with you on that? I want to give them some credit.
Yeah, my buddy Tyler, the other half of Stalemates, and then another buddy of mine, Wesley, out of Norwalk, Wesley Media Productions.
Nice job out of you guys. Check it out. And how long is it in total?
It's about an hour and 52, but it goes fast. I
Yeah,
promise you that.
And the answers are straight. He doesn't couch any of his opinions or answers.
Raw and uncut.
It's right there. All right. There is a two-time 3A state finalist from Iowa City West has made a commitment to SDSU, the South Dakota State. He's going to be a Jack. And I'm not sure the weight, though. That's some clarification we're going to need to establish here on this program today. He is Ashton Barker. Ashton, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Are you being homeschooled right now, or what's going on with that?
Right now, it's all online.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess homeschooling perhaps is not you're just doing it all online at home. There's a difference between that and being homeschooled, right?
Yeah, there is.
All right.
Are you supposed to be on Zoom right now?
He
no.
technically is on Zoom. I've seen guys put up a picture of themselves, and nobody pays any attention.
That's the Ferris Bueller.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
That's the Ferris Bueller look. Okay. Well, Ashton, welcome to USA Takedown, brother. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
How old were you when you started wrestling?
I think I was in 6th or 7th grade when my dad started having me go to practices.
And did you initially do it because, hey, I'm having a ball, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I liked it.
But then you found that you gravitated toward the work ethic. True or not?
Yeah, definitely.
And you're wanting to carry that through into the collegiate ranks. I mean, you're following some pretty rarefied air, as it were, from all the names that have gone on before you at Iowa City West. First of all, let's talk a little bit about your coach. Who's most important to your high school career?
All the coaches, really. I mean, they all had a big part this last season when I transferred schools to help me jump the next level and really just made me a better wrestler.
Well, name some names.
Nate Moore, Fred Sharp, Cody Pujol, and Tom and Matt Lepic.
Tommy Lepic.
Yeah.
Ask Tommy if he can ride a racehorse next time you see him. Ask him if he can ride a competitive racehorse, would you please? I'm serious.
I will.
He'll tell you stories. That was back when they kind of looked the other way if you were a collegiate athlete, and in the off season you did something else to make a living. That's a personal thing between Tom and I. Actually, Tom was my landlord when
he was?
when I was at the University of Iowa. He's the one that opened the door to me or for me to Coach Gable. And the rest, as they say, is history for USA Takedown. Ashton Barker, our guest. Why SDSU?
I really felt like I connected well with the coaches. I know a couple guys that go up there, and when I talked to them about it, they had nothing but good things to say about the team and the coaches and just the atmosphere at the school. Felt like it's somewhere that I can get better, make the next jump.
And they're a part of the Big 12, right? So, I mean, you're going to be able to be seen on a national stage competing against some of the very best in the country, those schools that do reside in the Big 12. How attractive did that make it?
Pretty attractive. I mean, that's nothing better. I mean, everyone looks at the Big 10 a lot, but, I mean, Big 12 has a lot of hammers. A lot.
Yeah, but you're expected to be one of those guys. You are a natural team leader. And this is what your coaches say about you, by the way. You're a natural team leader, and you do lead by example quietly and yet sometimes a little loud. Every instance or every circumstance deserves a different type of Ashton Barker, as it were. Also known as a pinning machine. How about that? What do you think about that? I mean, I like a good pin, a quality pin in my book. I don't care when the match ends. I really don't. You're going to get what you paid for, top to bottom. If you get a pinner in there or a guy that ends a fight within the first minute, don't care. love the fact that you put in the work to get to that point. But
thank you.
I think that's. Is there a favorite move what's your setup to get to a pin?
Anything really, whatever I see that's open, I'll go for it. I'm not too picky.
And I think that's important, Zach, to not box yourself into a decision, but see what's available, what makes sense at that moment in time, and also feeling out your opponent. What are the weaknesses, and what's the opponent making apparent? I've had athletes tell me that they can see it kind of in a tunnel vision aspect. Can you see your opponent sometimes that way? You can see exactly what they are going for?
This past season, I got a lot better at it. I'm someone that 95% of the time I'll shoot a little single. And as soon as I see that right foot step up, I'm just going to go for it.
All right. In 13 seconds or more, we got to take a low single, and that's to break. When we come back, we're going to catch up more with Ashton Barker and talk to us a bit about why SDSU and further his expectations of a collegiate career and what weight he will be competing at as he projects out. It will take a quick timeout on USA Takedown on 1350. This is ESPN.
Stay tuned. Casper and Bogle will be right back with more USA Takedown.
Communities need leaders. The birthplace of Bob Feller, Van Meter, Iowa, has too. Paul Szynski and Jim Sinclair have always been there for their community and for the thing that drives us, wrestling. In a position to help or need a cause to get behind, your neighbors and friends can use a hand. Leaders always come together to help, to plan, and to work to make their communities a better place to live. So special thanks to Jim Sinclair and Paul Szynski, two examples of men who lead. Follow these two professionals on LinkedIn for investment opportunities and more.
The wrong financial decisions can undermine the best intentions. Whether concerned for your business or your family's financial future, Trent Weatherman will develop a plan, identifying your goals, and set you on the path to financial security. Trent makes plans for people, no matter your goals. Trent has access to top-rated products and services to help you meet them. In April of 2019, NerdWallet identified Northwestern Mutual as the best life insurance company. Northwestern Mutual is in the top 10 U.S. independent investment broker-dealers in the United States. See the difference for yourself at TrentWeatherman.nm.com.
Hash browns are always part of my favorite breakfast, and the place to get Des Moines' best breakfast is Mullet's Restaurant. Hi, this is Danny Bishop. Stop by on your bike along Meredith Trail by the confluence of the Raccoon and Des Moines rivers. Sit on their 2-level patio, peruse the famous breakfast menu, and you'll understand why Mullet's is the best breakfast restaurant in Des Moines. Mullet's, celebrating all things about the hairstyle that's business in the front and party in the back. Just go to the west end of the Southeast 1st Street Bridge to find Des Moines' best breakfast at Mullet's Restaurant.
Welcome back to the Wild Rose Casinos. You're listening to the USA Takedown. Ashton, I'm going to prepare you for college a little bit. Do you have a walkout song ready yet?
Oh, boy.
I have one in my head, yeah.
What is it?
AC/DC Back in Black.
Oh, classic. Why that song?
Me and my dad will always listen to on the way up to tournaments while I was younger, so it's just kind of stuck with me throughout the years.
Works for me.
Do you like to listen to pump-up music before you wrestle, or do you like to calm the nerves and listen to a little R&B, a little jazz?
Jazz?
I like country when I warm up. It calms me down a little bit.
Okay.
You ever heard the song Take You Down?
No, I haven't.
You should look that up. It's about Mark Ironside. You know that name, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, look it up. Mark Ironside is actually in the music video.
I'm going to look it up right after this now.
Do it.
I'm excited.
Do it. And text me. I want to know your response to watching that video.
I will.
Take You Down. It's a great song. Matter of fact, when the NCAAs were here in Des Moines, I host the Fan Festival every year, okay? And we did a stage show, and that band that did that song backed us up on stage. As we went to break, we were broadcasting the entire Fan Festival live on radio. And we treated it, and on NCAA.com. But we treated that as if it was like the Tonight Show or one of the late night talk shows, and the band went to break, come back from break. The band was always there. But yeah, it was pretty cool having a song about wrestling, and they really embraced the sport largely because of one Mark Ironside.
That's pretty cool.
I love it. Let's go back to Zach. Zach?
Yeah, I asked Coach Damian Hahn last week how in the world he was stealing all this small-town Iowa talent and bringing them to South Dakota State. He told me that he sends Cody Caldwell over to do the job. What did Cody Caldwell tell you to say, hey, come over here and get jacked?
I think we started a conversation earlier in like the afternoon. I was just telling him, I really wanted to be a jackrabbit the last couple of weeks, and I've, looked at the college, I've looked at business school because that's what I want to major in, and it really I was hooked from day one.
Okay, whenever you go there and you start doing big things, are you going to come on my show Stalemate sometime?
I'll be there. Yeah, absolutely.
That would be cool. That would be very, very cool. That if you think about it, the more pub you get, and it's the right kind of pub. It's you're not stirring the pot like a Pat Downey. Okay, that's an endless series of whoops. I stubbed my toe again. But you're looking at a collegiate career, and in the large part, you're representing the institution. The institution doesn't want a troublemaker, somebody is viewed to be as such, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, obviously, you're one of those guys. Damian Hahn doesn't just send out an invite because he wants to fill a hole. He wants a guy that can contribute to the program, contribute to the well-being of the team, and that's really important. I know that it's been said about you that you're extremely coachable. Will you take that with you, that attitude, to the collegiate ranks?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And where does that come from? Does that come from your pop or what?
Yeah, it comes from him a lot. Probably everything from him, yeah.
Okay, and I do want to give some credit. So name your dad out. Just say, hey, Dad, this is my dedication to you. Thanks for this great career. What do you want to say to your pop?
Thanks for always being there through the hard times. I haven't been the easiest kid to coach or, raise, but you've always been in my corner no matter what.
I think that's from the heart. By the way, that song, Take You Down, is done by the band The Last Ride. The Last Ride, since that song was made public, they are now making their home, many of the band members, in Nashville, Tennessee. The Last Ride, Take You Down, the official video online. It features Mark Ironside. Our guest has been Ashton Barker. Ashton, we appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Thanks for having me.
What's the balance of the year look like for you? Good question, right?
Yeah. I don't really know. Whatever happens.
Yeah.
Just have fun with it. It's last year.
And projecting out your weight at SDSU, am I right at 174 or 84?
Probably 174, but I've told Caldwell this. I told him whatever weight you need me at, I'll go. Outcome's going to be the same. I'm going to win each match.
You're talking about Cody, right?
Yeah.
Coach Cody. Okay, Cody Caldwell, not Darian Caldwell. Two totally different athletes. I think, right? Yeah. All right, dude. Well, listen, one of the latest in-state prospects to commit to an educational aspect, higher learning, basically. SDSU, nice job out of there. There's another guy out of Waverly Shell Rock, I think. Bailey, is it Royal?
Yeah, it is.
Committed to the Jackrabbits as well. So, outstanding job by you. I appreciate you jumping on. I know it's always fun not always fun, but sometimes fun for a high school athlete to go on a national show. But we appreciate you doing so. Thank you, Ashton. Best to your dad and your whole family.
Thank you for having me.
And tell the coaching staff at Iowa City West, let's get it done.
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy boy. Thank you. That's fun. Thank you. Ashton Barker heads to the showers. On the show, I want to thank everybody at Wild Rose Casino for helping to make the studio possible. Our friends at Paramount Barbering Company in Des Moines East Village, historic East Village on East 5th. Get your appointments now if you want to get trimmed over the next couple of weeks. Make your appointment first with Zach or Jordan or
any of the guys.
Any of the guys.
Paul, Brandon, Keegan.
Keegan. Keegan the Skateboard Kid.
Yeah, right.
He's got it going on. Also, our guests next week include Tom Borelli, head coach of Central Michigan, Rob Cole, the head coach of Cornell in Ithaca, New York, Gerald Briscoe, the former Oklahoma State Cowboy, now talent coordinator of the WWE. He'll name some of the names of the guys from the NCAA ranks now trying out and making their way through the WWE. Barry Davis, former Wisconsin head coach, now with Silver Star Nutrition. Jason Borelli, the other part of the Borelli twosome on the particular show next week, head coach of Stanford, the embattled head coach. And then Hitag Alexandrovich Pliev, a Russian professional boxer, freestyle wrestler, and mixed martial artist of Osetian descent. Went on to Canada, then the silver medalist from the Murica tournament, qualifying to compete at the 2012 Summer Olympics. He competed here in Jefferson, Iowa, not too long ago. That's all next week. That's Friday. USA Takedown, right here. Look for us online, usatakedown.com. For all of us, for Danny Bishop, I'm Scott Casper, Zach Bogle. Talk to you next week.